two top directors vying for her. नहीं मेरे set पे, नहीं मेरे set पे. She's never been on screen before this. It's kind of flattering, don't you think?
Shattered is more like it, but we'll go with flattered if we must.
You're smart. You said that 5 times already.
Yeah.
You're smart.
Dumb is not something that people associate. So it's a new thing I'm trying. Mummy को phone करूँ?
Please, mummy को phone करो and ask her to come on my show.
नहीं आएंगी.
The Ambani pre-wedding in Jamnagar. What was that?
Like with our roti, we were eating gold. Yeah, I swear. And there were diamonds everywhere.
What is the point?
No, there wasn't one.
There wasn't a point.
Not in this question. There was no point for.
What was Love Aajkal? Seriously, what was that film? When you're doing a Coolie number 1, what are you watching at home at that time?
We'll talk when we're not on camera. Why?
Not on camera.
अरे ये तो हमेशा हंसी मजाक करती है. Does she actually feel bad? But she has a heart. She has hormones. She has emotions. She can be vulnerable. Namaste, I'm Sara Ali Khan and you can watch me on Sit With Hitlist on midday with Mayan Shekhar.
Hello and welcome to Sit With Hitlist, our completely unscripted podcast and print series. My name is Mayank Shekhar. With me is actor Sara Ali Khan.
Hello.
Great to have you here, Sara.
Thank you. Good to be
And
here.
of course, I must let the viewers know you can watch this conversation or hear it at any point in time. But to put a timeline to this is happening about 10 days before the release of Ae Watan Mere Watan, which is your latest film, as it were. I have seen the film. I really liked it.
Thank you.
And it's probably your most accomplished work so far, Sara.
Thank you so much.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's definitely been one of the most challenging films I've done. Also the most different film I've done. Very distinct to what I've done before.
Right.
And I don't think there's been much of glamour or, bindas, loud girl and any of that. I think that...
And that's a demeanor right now, no? You're like this is the most challenging thing I've ever done.
No, but
that's not you as we watch you on Reels, by the way.
It isn't.
Okay.
It isn't. And what I'm really happy about on a personal note, apart from just the work, is that through this film, I myself have gotten the opportunity to recognize that there is a lot beneath the frivolity that you see on Instagram. There is actually a deep person. There is actually somebody
You
with
discovered
gravitas.
yourself in a certain way.
Honestly, yeah, I did. Rediscovered, I would say. I think there was a lot of confidence and fire in me during Kedarnath. And I think somewhere along the way, it kind of went down a little bit. I don't know why. And I think through this film, I got the opportunity to kind of get that confidence in myself back.
As an actor or as a person?
As an actor, as a person, just in general. I think, I used to really adopt the less is more attitude wholeheartedly. And I stopped doing that. Then it suddenly became like golden hair and loud. And, even
Ranveer Singh happened to you
somewhere
basically.
the loud is still there. In fact, the last time I came to your office was with Ranveer Singh.
Oh, is it?
I remember
Right.
driving into this building and I was like, oh my God. And I was wearing similar clothes, but it was a jumpsuit.
Right.
And I was
And you were
promoting
jumping
Simmba.
around.
But my nails could have potentially been the same color. Yeah. So it's been nice to get an opportunity to do a film like this. Also gratifying.
Right. I mean, this is like a period film, also concerns an individual, a fascinating character, of course, from India's freedom movement, who exists. I mean, Usha Mehta, was this preparation very different from anything you've done before? Because it's a different world in that sense, right? The person,
sure.
So did you meet people who sort of knew her to get a sense of who she was?
So what's interesting is that Kannan sir was very certain that he...
Karan Iyer being the director.
Karan
Yes.
Iyer, my director.
Yeah.
He was very sure that he didn't want it to be only about Usha. The story is not a biopic. It's a film inspired by Usha. And I say that because there are certain creative liberties that I think Kannan sir and me have taken. And I was also initially as an actor, especially in Atrangi, I had a Bihari dialect. So as an actor, I was like, Gujarati karne kya kuch alag maza aayega.
Get direct
he was
quotes
like,
and stuff.
I don't want that. I want this to be a pan-India film because the idea of this film is, of course, inspired by Usha Mehta, but I think that the tropes and the themes that this film touches upon are timeless. And they can even be relevant today.
Very much.
I think today, the youth of the country needs to be inspired and reminded that we are in charge of our own voice. I think they need to be told this story of bravery, of conviction, of just the results of self fortitude almost, Like every time you think of bravery or you think of the freedom struggle, I personally have a masculine image in my head. And then comes the story which is about a woman.
Yeah.
It's not about physical strength. It's about sacrifices. It's about how she gave up, how she adopted a lifestyle of celibacy. She gave up her family. You know, so it's things like that, I think, that this film touches upon. And it was definitely very new to me. But you were talking to me about prep.
Yes,
You
in terms
asked
of
me.
transforming yourself into that person who would be as far from who you are, right? And I feel that would be true for every film that you've done, in the sense that, I mean, you say this often about how you are a newcomer, which is kind of true, in the sense that you debuted in 2018.
Yeah.
There's been 2 years of pandemic, so strike that off.
Thank
So
you.
literally 4
Yeah.
years is how
Yes.
long you've been
Strike that
around the
off.
movies. And so every director that you meet perhaps is molding you, isn't it?
Of course.
And so this would be a different kind of molding of you as an actor.
100%.
And thanks to the director, would that be the case?
I also think that, you know, it was very important to kind of be fully present on that set. I think the production designer played a huge role in that. You know, actual physical aspects like the charkha or like the flag or like the radio were very important, because as an actor, it's tricky to put yourself in that situation because those stakes are higher than anything we can imagine. The death penalty, you know. 8:30 बजे ये रेडियो मैं ऑन कर रही हूँ, 8:30 बजे से लेकर 9 बजे तक at any time अंग्रेज आकर मुझे गिरफ्तार कर सकते हैं, मुझे फांसी लग जाएगी. Like those are not stakes that we can imagine. I think we take somewhere our freedom for granted because we are free citizens. To be able to go back to a time where there was no radio, there was no technology, the idea of using radio was a novel idea. So it was very tricky to kind of put yourself in that position. But I do believe that, you know, being to a certain degree cognizant of the sacrifices that not just Usha Mehta but a lot of celebrated and unsung warriors have done. You know, it's those sacrifices that we try to pay some kind
So
of
how did
tribute
you
to.
get into that? How did you get into that space? I'm presuming you went through workshops.
I think
You did.
readings with Kannan sir.
Okay.
And I think there was that was basically it.
That's it.
I think
Right.
just readings.
Right.
There was no kind of intensive workshop. There were readings and there was constant. I think it required, as actors, us to be much more present than ever before. And try to kind of imagine what life would have been, which was tricky. Like there's a shot in the film where I'm looking at my father for the last time. And just trying to imagine what that feels like, you know. I also think that as this character that I've played is probably a character that has inspired me the most, and is a character that, while you shouldn't judge any of your characters, is a character that I think Sara respects the most. So
Unlike the other characters you played.
no.
The most.
The most.
The most. Yeah. It's not like you don't judge the others. Or respect the others.
them. But
yeah.
I definitely
you don't
think
judge the
that,
others. Yeah.
you know, I really, so every time I walked onto set, it was very, without taking myself or without taking Sara too seriously, there was a constant respect for Usha Mehta. And I think that gave the performance a certain gravitas, at least I'd like to believe so.
No, the point I was trying to get at, Sarah, is that, you know, let's say when you started out with, say, a Rohit Shetty or Abhishek Kapoor, Gattu sir, as it were, or right now when you're filming with Anurag Basu, if I'm not mistaken, Life in a Metro, the second part. I mean, these are all directors who are very different from each other, and you are... why is it that you never trained yourself to be an actor? Because that's something that you always thought you were going to be.
I didn't always think that that is something I was going to be. I went to Columbia University under the, I want to say misconception, but under the whim that I'll become a lawyer. I studied history and political science. I was extremely overweight. I loved my books.
So
and
it was,
my food.
you tell me this is not something you thought of. Of course
I
you
must
had.
have thought, I did think of it in my childhood.
Yeah.
But then I let it go, I think. And I was academically inclined and physically
that's-
unfit. So that combination kind of made the idea of becoming a lawyer very tempting and actual. And then I came back and I went on this, I was supposed to do another film, and then there was a bit of wait time. And then Kedarnath just came to me and it just started. And I really believe, to a certain level at least, that acting is the kind of thing that you can learn on the job.
Oh, you can.
You know,
okay.
like I was given a lot of love for Kedarnath because there was a lot of rawness. There was a lot of honesty, I think. Like lack of craft almost. But a soul, rather, I think. And as long as you can keep that up and you can unlearn, I think that as an actor, more than anything, that's very important. Because especially for somebody like me, like I've played, like I said, the slightly more high energy, bubbly bindas characters.
Yeah.
Now I had to let that go and kind of get into another skin that maybe
But
even
each
is
time
not
when you're
Sara's.
doing that, Sara, like for instance, if you are with, say, a David Dhawan who's been around for years, and there is a certain thing that you would demand from an actor, and then when you're with, say, Kanan Iyer or the others that you work with, you're obviously molding yourself each time. You just let the director sort of guide you then, right?
Yeah, which is very important.
How different is it to be on a David Dhawan set and
There's no comparison. You
and
don't have to
Usha
go
Mehta.
that far. You can just ask me how different it is to be on Homi Adajania set and this, because I was doing it simultaneously.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I've shot.
I have been
for-
on that set, by the way.
Of Homi Adajania?
Of Homi Adajania.
Which one?
The same one. When you guys were
Murder
shooting
Mubarak.
in Delhi. Yeah.
Oh.
In that Oberoi Maiden's Hotel. And it's madness.
It was a lovely hotel.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hotel. And the fact that you can just get out of the room and
go
start
to shoot.
shooting and
No,
go back again.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was truly very amazing. But I think that in every way, you know, Evatan Mere Vatan and Murder Mubarak happening simultaneously was such a revelation for me as a human being more than anything else. Because I've always said that I aspire for versatility. I want to be able to do different kinds of work, and then come both these films at the same time.
Yeah.
And now they're releasing at the same time. So, yeah, it was definitely different. But again, that's the joy of being an actor, right? And with
And you're going by instinct, I'm presuming, not breaking it down too much in your head.
100%.
Yeah.
And especially, I think, with a film like Evatan Mere Vatan, because there's no reference to the freedom struggle in my actual life.
Yeah.
There's no way that you can actually calculate to any degree the threat, the stakes, the accomplishment.
Or the world.
Or the world.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Of 1942.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think that is the
You know, I
only
have to
option.
say, one of the things that I loved about the film, Sara, and of course it's 1942, but it's so Bombay. Like, you know, you see Gwalior Tank, Do or Die, which is the slogan raised for Quit India movement right there.
Karo Ya Maro.
There is Karo Ya Maro. There is Babulnath Temple, which is where your apartment is. There is Santa Cruz, where another transmission center is. There is Ballard Road, which is now Ballard Estate. I mean, did you connect with it at a Bombay level? Because you're a Bombay girl, isn't it?
Yes, I've lived in Juhu my whole
Right.
life.
Oh, you're a Juhu person.
Yeah. So
Got it.
actually, yeah, I
Santa
don't-
Cruz, maybe you could connect, but
yeah,
you,
but hardly.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we didn't even shoot Santa Cruz in Santa Cruz.
I'm presuming
So-
Juhu didn't even like exist as a full-fledged neighborhood in 1942.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not. But I definitely found it very new, very interesting. And like I said before, the production designers, like, honestly, like, kudos to them. Like the tram, it was so real. I mean, it was moving. So I
Well,
guess
yeah, that's what a
that's a
tram
real
is.
tram. But it just like it transported, and it's actually great that I'm not from South Bombay because I don't really cross the ceiling very, very often.
This is the reverse now
So-
when you're talking. Like,
What
I
do you
don't
mean?
cross the sea link.
Yeah, yeah.
As in, I don't go to South
yeah,
Bombay.
no, it's too far. But so there was a almost new lens with which I was looking at it. You know, the way that it was designed, the way that it was set. The Gwalior Maidan also was one of the hardest days of shoot. But when I watched the trailer, when I watched the film, and I've seen our song Katra Katra, there are moments of the, you know, I'm not one to be like, oh wow, I love myself. Like, I'm quite self-deprecating. But like the shot where I've picked up the flag and said Karo Ya Maro in slow motion, like, the only time I feel
I mean,
like...
you didn't pick it up in slow motion, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But they put it in slow motion.
You didn't go like, ooh.
I could have, you never know. Maybe that's why it's so slow. No, but you know, the way we shot
yeah.
it, the only time I can get my eyes off the screen is if I'm watching it with my mom, because I'm like, are you proud? Are you enjoying it? A good shot? And it just feels like really nice to have been able to kind of like do that.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned your mom. One that, of course, you've grown up with her. And I realized that you're a Jew girl. I always thought you were a Bandra girl, by the way. We're in Bandra East. I think your school was close by.
Yes, it was right
Yeah,
here.
Dhirubhai Ambani school, which we'll get to in a bit. But really, like, your mom is someone that we've all been fans of at some point time in our lives, right? She raised you and Ibrahim I have never seen, at least visually, a more clear genetic demarcation between two people. You look exactly like your mom. Your brother looks exactly like a father.
I know, me and
Like,
my
it's
brother
like
used to have this running joke that we don't look related.
No, of course you do.
No, but not really, right? My father and my mother are not related.
You can just put it like in that sense,
Yeah.
right? Like in a family tree sense.
Yes.
Right? What was that like in terms of being raised in Juhu with your mom? And I'm told not just your brother, a turtle, a parrot.
Our turtle died.
Oh, damn. I'm so sorry. What is the name?
Mr. T.
Mr. T is no more. But Mr. T would live for 150 years. How
Yeah,
did he-
I don't.
I mean, turtles live for like 100
I thought
plus.
so too. And my mom had said to both of us also that she's going to put a certain property on Mr. T's name so that we look after him.
What about the parrot? Is the parrot still
We
there?
gave Miss B away.
Miss B is gone.
Yes.
Okay, so but these
We
Mr.
have our
B,
dog.
Oh, Mr.
His
D,
name is not Mr.
Not
D.
D. Oh, what are you saying?
His name is not Mr. D. That would have been funny.
What's the dog called?
Fuffy.
Fuffy. Okay, Mr. F.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? Like growing up with T, D, Fluffy.
No, see,
Juhu,
not Fluffy,
Fuffy, and in Juhu. What is growing up like with your mom actually?
I think that the more years, if I'm being honest with you, that I'm spending in the film business, I'm trying not to sound wrong, but I'm just trying to be honest also. The more grateful I am for the upbringing that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Because initially, like, you know, in 2024, we take freedom for granted. And it takes doing a film of 1942 to kind of appreciate what it was to not have that. I think the more years I'm spending here, the more I'm realizing how easy it would have been for my mom to have brought me up differently. And how grateful and thankful I am that she didn't. You know, we didn't grow up thinking that paparazzi's our birthright. I still remember when I was being photographed before Kedarnath released. And I was trying to strike the balance between being rude to them because I didn't want to be, but also not being photographed because what have I really done to be here? Like, why am I being photographed? And all this happened before the whole like nepotism chapter and chatter had started. That started like a year into my work. So I myself had started feeling a little bit like, हाँ मेरी माँ कलाकार है, father भी actor है, लेकिन मैं तो नहीं हूँ ना, तो मेरे पीछे क्यों है? So, and I'm really grateful that I kind of grew up thinking like that. Because now when they photograph me, I have a very good equation with them because somewhere I think I've earned it. So I think growing up with my mom, I think has kept me very real, very grounded.
In what sense? Like she would, I mean, you were aware
No
of
film
her.
friends.
No film
Till
friends
I
at
made
all.
them on my own. Radhika Madan, Janvi Kapoor, and Ananya Pandey are friends I made at work. You know, I was not like, oh, our parents have been actors previously, so now we have like special pani puri together or whatever. Like it wasn't
Whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that was not the vibe at all. Going to like filmy parties and all. I still remember the first one I had gone to was in 2016, like just like a couple of months before I started shooting my first film.
Which one was that?
Kedarnath.
No, as in which was the party?
Mr. Bachchan's Diwali party. Which one was that? I was like, yeah, even if he doesn't know, that would be a weird question to ask. Yeah, sorry. Never mind. Mr. Bachchan's Diwali party.
Right.
So I also think like having like a life fully, like my security, for instance, Jeetuji. I'm very fond of him, but I didn't feel the need for it till much later. I didn't grow up like having like 7 people around me handing me things. Like, Mom was very certain that she wanted us to have like a full life external to the films.
Which is hard when you're in Juhu, right? It's not an easy thing.
It was very easy. There was no problem
It's
at
probably
all.
even harder if you're in Dhirubhai Ambani school. I'm sure everyone, all your classmates are children of...
What also really maybe helped was that my mom was not a working actor. So for me, like, my friends didn't really know that much of like what mom
But did you?
had done.
Like, did you follow her work growing up? Like, did you watch her films?
Some of them. I started watching them a little later.
Do you have a
I think,
favorite?
in life. I love Betab.
Ah.
Everybody talks about it. And Aina. I love Betab and Aina both a lot. Two States is a film that she did more recently.
More recently, yes.
Even though now becoming an actor, I realize that it's not always easy to play yourself, but that's actually her in real life. She tells me not to keep saying this. Yeah, she keeps telling me that I shouldn't say this publicly. But I feel Arjun Kapoor's pain in the film. I can just imagine how she would react, you know. These like politically incorrect things, and yeah, that's mom.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned Betab. I was going through some interview of
I
yours.
thought you meant I'm glad I mentioned her being politically incorrect, and I was like, let's change the subject. But you're going
No,
back
no,
to
I'm glad.
Betab.
I mean, of course, I'm
So,
glad that you
yes.
did mention. But you know, like I saw somewhere that you do a lot of treks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that you always go to Pahalgam.
I've been to Betab
And
Valley.
Betab Valley, right?
Yes.
Is that the reason why you constantly go to Pahalgam, because Betab Valley is right there and it's on the way to Amarnath?
I've been to Betab Valley
Only once.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
You
that was
know,
your thing.
I think that my mom and Sunny Deol have given it its lovely name.
Yes.
But they might have taken away a little bit of the quaintness of that valley, because
That is
now
true.
it's just extremely crowded.
Yeah.
So it's very nice to visit, especially as like my mom's daughter, and I made a reel on like Aa Gayi Main Betab Valley and all. It was great. But like I prefer like Sheeshnag and Tullian Lake and things like that, which takes like a couple of kilometers, double-digit kilometers to get to.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. You know, you mentioned you have Murder Mubarak coming up. You of course have Watan coming up, and that you mentioned you entered the Dhirubhai Ambani school. You know, and that leads me to the next question, because you know you could be in these movies, but you were in the ensemble cast of the most watched movie in the history of screen, which was the Ambani pre-wedding in Jamnagar. Okay, I mean, really, like, what was that? We have what 30 minutes left in this interview, or
Let's
maybe
only
40,
talk about that.
and that's all we're going to talk about.
Okay. So I'll tell you, there were these salvers and they would serve gold.
What do you mean? Say that
We
again.
could be, like with our roti, we were eating gold. Yeah, I
What
swear.
is-
And there were diamonds everywhere. What do you mean? Yeah, it was a very nice, lovely, warm, hospitable event.
I was just
I've
going
gone
to
to
ask you
school
what
with
gold
Anand.
tastes like.
I've gone to school with
Okay.
Anand. I've known Radhika growing up. It was very warm. I think that the entire Ambani family, Neeta ma'am, who's been my chairperson of the Dhirubhai Ambani
Yes.
school, you know, they're so warm.
Like, what's your
They're so
favorite?
welcoming.
What's your favorite memory from that party? Like that you would tell friends when you got back. Like, hey man, I did this. It could be anything. Like, you know.
I think the
hung out
moment
with
where I
Rihanna.
saw Radhika and Anand signing their Hastakshar papers and like looking at each other with just a lot of love. I think that everybody kind of looks at them as like, oh my god, the Ambani family, oh wow, gold. But like to me,
Only you were saying gold. I never even thought
I just
somebody be
everybody's
serving
asking
gold
me
for
this
food.
question. It's just like I think
no,
that's
I
what you
just
want me to
no,
say.
no, it's not. I'm giving goss. I just want you to tell me how fun it was.
It was
to
a
be
lot of
at
fun, but-
was possibly the most consumed party. Like everyone felt like they were in Jamnagar.
No, it was definitely a lot of fun, which is why I'm telling you about this specific moment,
Yes.
because it was the more human moment of it. You know, everybody looked at it like externally, like, oh my god, let's review what everybody's wearing. Every actor's here, oh my god, everyone's performing, oh wow, yay. But there were those real moments, like
I'm
when
sure.
Neeta ma'am did a Bharatnatyam performance for Anant, where she didn't miss a single beat, and she just performed with so much grace. But there was also Mamta in her eyes during the performance, you know. It's moments like that that stood out to me. Personally.
No, but I'm looking for like more fun stories in terms of.
What do you mean?
Okay, let me explain.
I mentioned the gold, I mentioned
yeah,
the
no,
love.
let me
What
explain.
else?
So, like, where were you staying?
I was staying at a place called Green Retreat, a very nice.
Is that a hotel in the Jamnagar campus?
Yes.
Okay. So I've heard that there was this meat packers district created next to the hotel, you know, with restaurants and casinos. Was that where it
Yeah,
was?
I take my promotions very seriously.
No,
And
this is a
because I have
conversation
to
with you.
promote, no, I don't mind, we can
Huh, huh,
converse.
huh.
But what we have to do when we converse is look good.
Yeah.
And when you have to look good, you have to not go to meat packing districts.
Okay.
You can't eat all this. But there was
Right.
a Subco coffee there.
Huh.
So I was having a lot of the coffee because I had to maintain my weight.
But did
because I had to come and
that
promote.
district remind you of New York when you were there?
No, because I used to eat back in New York. Remember?
Okay.
The whole eating and gaining weight and wanting to become a lawyer at Columbia. So yes, there was more food consumption there. So the memories were kind of distinct.
No, in terms of the look of that neighborhood, like, did they really manage to recreate Manhattan or the meat packers district?
The look, yes.
The look, yes. Because I'm using this as a segue to get into your life in New York.
Okay.
Right? I'm not going to spend my whole conversation with you
I
on the
didn't-
Ambani wedding.
I didn't
I
think you
hope
would.
you didn't think so.
I didn't.
How is Bombay different from New York?
It's similar
Okay.
in the way that there is a pulsating energy of aspiration in every alley almost. I think everybody in Bombay, most people in Bombay and New York have a desire to do. Which is something that like it's just energetically felt, I think. How is it different? Even if your single mother tries to keep you away from the public eye and you are aware that, oh, why are they photographing me, you're still recognized. I mean, you can't help it. That wasn't there in New York at all.
Right.
I really valued that time in my life because I spent my most formative years incognito, if I may say so. And that was really lovely, without like just being truly seen for who
Liberating?
I am. Liberating. And also, like, you know, we can get into this syndrome of, is he talking to me or is she talking to me because of who my mom is?
Right.
Or because of who I am. So the friends that I made in New York, the memories that I have in New York are not tainted with any of that. They're fully, I was what I was. There wasn't even, oh, did I like come first in my history class because my teacher loved Omkara? You know,
Has that happened to you?
I don't know, right? Like, how do you know?
You start second guessing.
Yeah, you can.
Maybe the teacher's a fan of
You
Saif.
never know.
Yeah.
Like my English teacher definitely really liked my father.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm sure all your
I used
teachers
to
are
love
a crush
bringing
on
him
Saif.
to I used to love bringing him to parent-teacher meetings because I was always very smart and always very badly behaved. And my father's the kind of person that used to be like, yeah, at least she's getting the grades. And my mother used to be like, I don't want her grades. I want her to be a well-behaved person. So I used to be like, okay, mom, cancel. Like, she should not be coming to these, you know, parent-teacher
stuff.
meetings.
No
We
chance.
should just show her the grades and be like, yeah, they really like me. And my father can just, because my father would tell them, at least she's getting the grades. And I used to be like, see? And my mom used to be like, that's not what matters. The person you are matters. And also, this is very different.
I love how you played it though. So for a PTA meeting, you take Saif along.
Always.
The teacher, oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. And oh, wow, nice to see
She's forgotten what she had to say
you.
anyway,
Wow.
yeah.
I used to be like, this is amazing. This is great. I have to take him everywhere. But yeah, so none of that was there in New York. So I think that there was, and it was also like, I mean, my father got me an apartment. So I lived on campus for 2 years. And it's a 4-year course. But because I was so smart, can be. Because of the smartness involved, I finished in 3 years. So I told my father, with the smartness intact, that listen, आपका 1 साल का घाटा कम हो रहा है क्योंकि आपको 3 साल का पैसा भरना है तो आप क्या करो ना मुझे एक अपार्टमेंट दिला दो रेंट पे. So he said okay. So I had my like own apartment, my own like Wi-Fi bill that I would pay. I would have my own like bhandas. I would try to do my own things. So there was a lot of independence and a lot of like, it was my space.
Right.
You know, I liked that.
You know, I'm just imagining you in New York, in that space, and let's say you're in the dating scene, right? And you go to meet someone in New York, and during the conversation, just tell that person who doesn't know you from Adam, right? No clue, you know, I'm assuming non-Indian, that, you know, my dad is this big movie star, my mom was this big movie star. I mean, Saif is still one of the top movie stars in India, even now. Or you get into the whole royalty and stuff. Their jaws would drop, na? Ki, matlab, is she like, of course you can Google these things now.
See,
but did you ever have that moment?
Not in a dating scene, no.
No?
No. But there were some friends of mine, I think, in college, that like when I told them.
They didn't believe you first.
No, they didn't. They really didn't. Also because I was like, you know, like there was no resemblance to any parent or anything. There was only resemblance to like...
There's Nawabi.
But I mean like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, so no, they were quite surprised actually.
And then what?
That's it.
I mean, they just Googled and said, okay, whatever.
Yeah, then
she's
it dies
royalty.
down. I think
I know a lot of Indian men who use this little thing. I mean, now of course you can't because you can Google, but you know, they'd say everyone is to say they're from some royal family. You know, and it really worked for them as an opening line.
States
Exactly.
हो भी सकते हैं.
हो भी सकते हैं नहीं वो तो बनाते they used to make it up, and it worked for them. But back in the day, I mean, I don't think you can do that anymore.
Yeah, well.
You know, I'm also like, what fascinates me again about you, Sara, is actually a family tree. It's phenomenal in the sense of how, I mean, if I were to like even like have a little box to go with this piece that we write, it would just be the family tree. Because, I mean, the well-known parts are, of course, as they are. Like there is Saif, there is Sharmila Tagore, related to Rabindranath Tagore, there is Nawab Pataudi, etc., etc. But the lesser known bit is actually from your mom's side. Your grandmom, Rukhsana Sultan, I mean, she was quite a figure, yeah. And I recently learnt about her from a book, I think by Veer Sanghvi. And I mean, she was a big figure in the social circles of Delhi, slightly controversial during emergency, was involved with the sterilization program, but like a larger than life figure. Do you have any great stories about Rukhsana Sultan?
My grandmother passed away when I was 9 months old. So I actually know nothing but just tremendous
Just
loss.
stories that you've heard though?
Yeah, but not really.
Right.
Not really. I just know that she always had red lipstick on and she had these lovely sunglasses. And she used to do yoga and she was a healthy person. And she loved Paris and she loved history and she loved culture, which just makes me feel a lot of FOMO because I think I would have really enjoyed and appreciated growing up with somebody like that. Also, it would have given my mom a lot more support because she's done it all alone. So that's all I really feel.
And who looks exactly like a mom?
Who?
Rukhsana Sultan.
Does
I mean,
she?
that's a picture. Yeah.
So like exactly like
exactly. Yeah. It's quite something. She was sister of Begum Para.
Yeah.
Who was married to Nasir Khan.
Yes.
Who was the brother of Dilip Kumar.
Oh.
So there's a whole. Yeah. Am I telling you this?
I didn't know this.
You're really learning this.
I'm Dilip Kumar's relative. I'm the relative of Dilip Kumar. I love it.
You're also, by the way, since we're on that subject, related to Sobha Singh. And that I'm sure you know.
That I do know. He constructed all of
New Delhi.
Yeah. Including Sushant Singh Park, where most of my family lives.
And you're related to Khushwant Singh, therefore.
Yes, I am.
This is nuts. Do you feel like, what the hell? Like, there's just too much pressure on you?
The whole Dilip Kumar thing is still playing in my head. I like that.
Yeah, because it has a Bollywood connection. And that's where you are.
I'm going to tell people today. I'm going to walk around telling everyone, hey, you know what, I'm related to Dilip Kumar.
What is your favorite family memory in the sense of
being related to Dilip Kumar?
We're not going to have the whole conversation about you being...
Why? You can talk about Jamnagar, I can talk about Dilip Kumar.
You gave me nothing on Jamnagar, by the way. Like literally...
What am I getting on Dilip Kumar?
I don't know. I gave you the information. Yeah, okay. That information comes from me.
I give you the information. Means? What can I get
Wikipedia.
The gold. God.
Coming back to you, Sara Ali Khan. You as an actor, you as a public figure, more importantly, I have to say that you actually made your debut before the movies on the Coffee with Karan show.
I've heard that before.
And I'm like, whoa, like this is a really intelligent person, extremely witty, and that's what everyone's saying. My question to you is, now that you've done a fair number of films and very much part of the movie industry in that sense, do you think there's any correlation between wit, intelligence and performance? Or an actor, or can that be a burden? For instance, if you have too strong a personality, you really can't embody another person. Does it become harder to play another character? That happens to a lot of movie stars, I notice. They're like such strong personalities themselves that they have to play themselves only. I don't want to take names, but it's kind of obvious the number of movie stars have had in history who are just them every time they stepped on the screen. People love them, that's another matter.
So I feel what happens, and what definitely is true, is that if there's too much of, frivolity, too many jokes, too much loud, gregarious behavior, it can get slightly difficult for people to imagine that there can be gravitas in you as a person. It's not just that, if I'll do Chaka Chak, will people buy that I'll be Usha Mehta. I don't think that that's the thing as much as it's even on a personal note that, Arey, ye to hamesha hasi mazak karti hai, does she actually feel bad? Is she actually sensitive?
Is she mocking that scene?
Like, no, not just, I'm not even talking professionally as yet. I'm just saying on a personal note.
Right.
Like, there has to be a limit. Like, yes, okay, she's self-deprecating. Yes, okay, she's strong. Yes, okay, she can take a joke. But she has a heart. She has hormones. She has emotions. She can feel bad. She can be vulnerable. So, I think even on a personal note, when you're a public figure and you're so out there and you can be so like bindas, people can take for granted that there can be another side to you. I recently saw an interview of Radhika Madan's and I messaged her saying I love you so much because she actually explained it very well. She said that people only see this exterior bindas, loud Sara, but there's actually a very simple and soft Sara in there, and that's the Sara that I connect with. So that's the personal aspect. As far as you talk about it being professionally, I think that, Pankaj sir in fact told me.
Pankaj Tripathi or Pankaj Kapoor?
Yeah, Pankaj
okay,
Tripathi.
Yeah,
He once told me that, method acting की अपनी जगह होती है, but मुझे कल्पना में बहुत विश्वास है, which means that I value imagination a lot. कल को अगर किसी का murder करना है तो क्या तुम murder कर लोगी? ऐसे तो नहीं हो सकता ना. Now I'm playing a film like Ai Watan Mere Watan. We can't actually go back, time travel. So I think that there has to be a scope of imagination, malleability and flexibility involved. And to do that, I think that the most important thing, it's not about having a strong personality, it's about not taking yourself too seriously. If you look at your work as your duty, whether it's Ai Watan Mere Watan or Murder Mubarak or Kedarnath, if I look at my work as just my duty, I don't take myself too seriously, then I can flow in and out of characters more easily. I think that the way you perceive yourself is more important. You shouldn't, आपका मैं जो होता है ना, your ego should not be too big. that is the most important thing. The rest doesn't really matter, I feel. You are who you are. Some people are, gregarious, some people are not, whatever it is. But you should ultimately be able to always put your character and your duty above yourself, at least on set.
Like leave your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Right.
Pick it up on the way back if you really must.
Yeah.
But leave it before you come onto set.
Right. I'm amazed that you mentioned 3 films. 2 are the most recent, and then there is Kedarnath, which was your first, right? And nothing in between. Why?
Because can't name you like 7 films. Now I can say also Simmba,
Yeah.
Atrangi Re, Zara Hatke Zara Bachke, bolti rahun, lekin kya?
Because the reason why I'm asking this is because I want to know from you, having watched the film when it released, or perhaps before its release, what was Love Aajkal? Seriously, what was that film?
A mistake.
I mean, come on. I couldn't understand what's going on in the movie. Like, genuinely, was there something on paper that did not translate to the screen?
Must have
Is that
been.
what happened?
I don't know. I take full responsibility for the fact that I don't think that I delivered.
No, but you're making it about yourself in terms of performance. But even then, so I mean, just the film itself, it wasn't coming together. What was going on?
ये तो मैं अपनी बात ही कर सकती हूँ, बाकी भी लोग हैं. But I think that it really helped me, because it would have been easy for me to go off track, with the upbringing that my mother gave me that I've spoken to you about. Even then, despite that, with the success of Kedarnath and Simmba, one more box office success, I could have maybe gone damadole a little.
Oh yeah?
It is possible. You never know.
Were you on the brink of it?
No, I wasn't. I'm just trying to find a silver lining. It's a bronze lining, but I'm still looking for it. I think that, it just made me kind of realize what works and what doesn't work. And I think that it reminded me that anything that's not organic and coming truly from the heart shouldn't be done. And maybe there were moments of the performance that were dishonest or not truthful. And
What do you mean by that?
like there were moments on set where I was saying things that I don't know if I fully truly understood or fully truly meant. Maybe I made the mistake of judging Zoe's character a little bit. Maybe I was not in the right state of mind during that time. I don't know what went wrong. But I see what you mean, that it didn't come together. And I think it was just a red herring of like, आज के बाद बस शिद्दत और मेहनत से काम करना है. I don't want to do anything that doesn't resonate from the heart. And now I'm coming with films like Murder Mubarak and Avatan that are both different. It's not like one is now suddenly said, oh, chalo, Love Aajkal mein I try to play an urban character, let's run away from this, let's only do Rinku, Mukku, Soumya, because the Zara Hatke and Atrangi and Kedarnath is the home ground. It could have been easy to do that. But I'm coming to you with a Murder Mubarak, which is urban, which is glamorous. I'm coming to you with an Avatan Mere Watan, which is period, which is unlike anything I've done before. So I think after a film like Love Aajkal, you could either have gone down, which I did for a while, or you can just say like, okay, fine, from now you just have to be bigger and better, karo ya maro. और करूँगी, और अब कर रही हूँ, अब देखते हैं कैसे जाएगा.
What do you mean you went down for a while?
It takes a toll on you, when you know that your work has not been loved, has not been appreciated, and I'm being gentle. It can take a toll on you, and it does take you time to kind of bounce back. I, in fact, will go as far as saying that audiences might have even started to forgive me after Atrangi Re. The media and the audiences together might have even absorbed me even more after Zara Hatke Zara Bachke. It's only now that I'm starting to forgive myself. So it took me a long time to kind of get over it. But now I realize that accepting your failures is part of it. Understanding and analyzing them is part of it. But there's a very important step called embracing and forgiving yourself. क्योंकि वो नहीं होगा तो आगे नहीं बढ़ पाओगे. And I think that's the part I struggled with the most, but I'm done.
Did you have like this thing called the imposter syndrome at any point in time when you began to second guess if you are really up for this? Like, did you actually call Anand Rai
I was just going to say, the one time that happened is when I called Anand Rai and said that, listen, Atrangi Re is a very great script. This character is outstanding. Are you sure you don't want to just like call Alia? Like, I
call Alia, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like, are you sure?
Why would you do that?
Because I was very nervous.
This is right after Love Aajkal or after Coolie number 1?
No, right after Love Aajkal.
Not Coolie number 1?
No, we started shooting by then. बहुत continuity में फंस गए थे, बहुत घाटा हो जाता. और काम भी ठीक ठाक ही जा रहा था, तो फिर कुछ चकाचक का गाना शूट हो गया था Coolie के पहले. तो no, but I do remember feeling like, are you sure I'll be able to do this? And he said to me that, see, on a personal note, I'll deal with you. But Rinku's not a character that can play on the back foot. So you can't do this right now or ever. And I think that really helped kind of pick me up.
You know, when you talk about a film like, say, Coolie Number One, and I actually would have loved to have you tell me what your favorite films are, given your own upbringing, given your own, you know, the way you've lived your life. Is there a disconnect between stuff that you enjoy watching and stuff that you do on screen? Because that can always be there, because that's work. And this is like, say, is your Netflix and chill completely different from what you do on a set in terms of films that you sign up?
Not really.
Really?
Not really. Especially now. I mean, I love watching murder mysteries.
Yes.
Finally, I'm a part of one. I love period films because as a history student, there's something very intriguing about going into a world that you've read about, you know. And as an actor, of course, the visual medium excites me. So there's something about, like, you know, whether it's a documentary on Cleopatra or whether it's about like World War II from the front lines, you know, whatever. There is something very nice about being able to watch period stuff.
I get that. I get that. But when my instances are not this particular ones. But say when you're doing a Coolie Number One, what are you watching at home at that time?
I can't remember. But like Abhishek Kapoor, I love all his work. You know, I love Kai Poche as a film. I love Rock On as a film.
Fitur also, it's a very underrated film.
I think Rohit sir has a great body of work that's also enjoyable to watch. I also think that as a viewer, I like eclectic work. I like very different kinds of work, which is why maybe as an actor I've been even more greedy in my prayers of wanting to be able to be as versatile as possible. Because I do like alag cheezein.
Do you have a favorite Bollywood movie that you've gone back to again and again? Or a film, any film that you constantly...
Marriage Story is the first thing that came to my mind. I just love that movie. It's so real, it's so lovely. A Bollywood movie, like, okay, number
You mean the Marriage Story, which is like a...
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
My favorite Bollywood movie.
It's taking you that long, that means obviously there is none.
There's none.
Like, you don't force
There's
yourself.
not like one.
Don't, you know, you've already done that with Love Aajkal. Don't force yourself.
I was like, is there one? And I can't think of
There
it.
isn't. There isn't.
Definitely not Love Aajkal.
I thought you'd just say it's like a Saif film. Like
Love Aajkal?
No, well,
that was not bad. Huh?
That was
a
great,
very
actually.
good film.
That was an amazing film.
Yeah,
that's maybe the reason why you signed up.
We'll talk when we're not on camera. Why
Not on camera. Not on camera. But you know, I have to say, we started with Karan Johar, and in terms of that's the first time we saw you on screen, and then there were these conversations that were happening before Karan Johar's show, and you know, at this newspaper at Midday, we used to run a lot of stories about which movie is Sara going to debut with, and was it going to be Simmba, was it going to be Kedarnath? That was a big story at the time that I distinctly remember. And I found it fascinating also because I think the director said this a few days ago about how there was this problem with the making of Kedarnath where you have a co-producer's backed out, but there are dates that your management agency has given to another film. So you have to work on that film as well. Now there is a court case going on as a result. So you actually fighting a court case with the same director in the morning and shooting with the same director at night. Please take us through this process.
Wow. Feels like yesterday. It's true. It's true. Okay, let me take you through this process. 2018 May, I was supposed to do Simmba. And there were some dates that were...
That was going to be a debut film.
No, Kedarnath was the
Always
first
a debut
film I
film,
signed.
yeah.
Kedarnath was the first set I went on. Kedarnath was the first... Kedarnath was everything. Okay. And it was happening. It was all good. Then some dates went upar niche. And I also signed Simmba. But now there were 3-4 dates that were coinciding. And yeah, so I got sued for 5 crore rupees. And I was very nervous because I didn't have 5 crore rupees. And
you got sued by the makers of Kedarnath, I'm presuming.
Yes, I did. And my grandfather, my mother's father, was dying in Delhi. And Ibrahim was in school. Ibrahim was in school. My mom was in Delhi. And I was served a wakalatnama at home. And I was like, अब इसका मैं क्या करूँ? समझ ही नहीं आ रहा. So I was like, ठीक है कोई नहीं. So I sent the management to court because I had to go to shoot, which the makers were aware of because they were also at the shoot. And then we shot, what else? And I got onto set and I knew that there were two ways it could go. And I just went to Gattusa because Jharna, my spot girl who's been with me since mom was 7 months pregnant with me, makes very good coffee. And usually I'm dieting, so I'm on like a black coffee, not very fun kind of thing, but वो फेट के बड़ा अच्छा कॉफ़ी बनाती है. तो मैंने गट्टूसा को देखा और मैंने बोला मैं झरना को बोल दो कॉफ़ी बनानी है. He said हाँ बनवा दे. So Jharna made coffee, he had the coffee. So I really want to know what she put in it because after that shoot was smooth. So I don't know, I guess that he also had his reasons, I'm assuming. But it's all good now. It's all water under the bridge.
I'm sure it's been long as well.
Yes.
Right? So basically, Abhishek Kapoor sued your management agency.
Yes.
Not you personally.
I'm not sure.
5 crore was going to come from where? Management agency or you?
वो कहाँ देते?
वो क्यों नहीं देंगे?
क्यों देंगे?
Because they've taken your dates ना?
हाँ तो शायद उनको ही किया होगा. मुझे नहीं पता यार. बहुत कांड था.
Is it the same management agency by the way?
No, I left.
Oh, you left them?
No, not because of this.
Right.
Just generally. But that's not the point.
What is the point?
No, there wasn't one.
There wasn't a point.
Not in this question. There was no point for sure. No. Is there anything I should say? No. Yeah. Then Rohit sir and Gattu sir met in a room, and Ranveer came into the room actually, and he was like, "Okay then," and he quickly left the room because obviously it was like strange.
It was heated?
But not really, yeah, because
Okay.
they wanted only 3 dates, and Rohit sir said, "Le lo." So then it was done. But then it was a bit tricky because I spent a lot of time flying from Hyderabad to Bombay because I was shooting for them simultaneously. It reminds me of this time of my life with Murder Mubarak and Vatan Mere Vatan. Hopefully the outcome of both these films will be like those, and that would just be great. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that would be amazing if we could just have December 2018 all over again. All the suing, wooing, everything's worth it then.
So what happened to the case finally?
They ended now because
they had a
Rohit sir
conversation.
said, we'll keep making a flap and now she'd shoot night
like,
in Hyderabad and
isn't it
Bombay.
amazing for an actor who's never been on a movie set until Kedarnath, that 2 top directors vying for her कि आप मेरे set पे आओ, नहीं आप मेरे set पे आओ. How does that even work? I mean, it's kind of flattering, don't you think, for a film debut?
Flattering?
Come on. नहीं मेरे set पे, नहीं मेरे set पे. She's never been on screen before this.
Flattered. I was flattered.
Flattered. And worrying about 5 crore.
I was, yeah. Shattered is more like it, but we'll go with flattered if we must.
But you know, what did happen, of course, your first co-star was Sushant Singh Rajput, and you know, and the tragic demise and all those things that followed. I mean, I'm just gonna ask you your favorite memory working with him.
I think, oh my God. So many. I think there was this one moment where Gattu sir was very rushed. Like we were like rushing, and Gattu sir and Sushant had worked together before. So I just went to Sushant and I was like, I don't know how to do this. There's this line, just show me. And he just showed me, and I just went and I copied him. And I think that being able to speak Hindi the way that I do, which is something that people appreciate about me quite often, whether it's, being as curious as I think I am, like so much of it is Sushant. Like any love I've gotten for Kedarnath, and it's a lot, is just all him. Like I can't give you a memory.
No anecdotes that you remember?
What anecdotes? It's not about that. I don't know how to say.
I hear you. On that very, very somber note, I'm going to move to the audience if they have a question or two.
I'm going to lighten it up with
Yes,
a question.
yes.
I'm very curious to know about Iggy. We are all
My brother.
waiting for him to come on screen, but I want to know what was the dynamic like while growing up? Was it like the typical brother-sister relationship that you think? And now that he's stepping into films, does he come to you for advice?
What do you call him?
Iggy.
Iggy,
That's
okay.
his pet name.
And what is yours then?
Som.
Som, okay. Cool. I learned something new.
Well, I think that because, if I'm being very honest with you, I think because of the fact that we both live with a single mother, the dynamics were not very sibling-like. So I should maybe take this moment to apologize to Ibrahim for trying to mother him overtly. Because
Listen, by the way, in case your family is watching this,
Huh.
I'm going to ask Amrita
They
Singh
are
to
also related to Dilip Kumar.
please show up for this particular conversation series? Because I'd love to have a conversation with her. Yeah, in case your family's watching this.
Yeah, no, she's
Carry on.
definitely watching
Yeah,
this and she's
cool.
definitely not showing up. But that aside, I think that Ibrahim has grown up with two mothers. I've been quite a mother figure in
Quasi-parent.
his life. Yeah,
Those elder ones are like that only.
I
yeah.
think so.
Yeah,
I
it's-
think so.
Sucks.
So yes,
Yeah.
that is how it's happened. And yeah, he does come to me with advice, but I go to him with advice actually more often. I think he's a solid guy.
But she was asking about the debut, right?
What?
I
What
was
about it?
asking if he
Goes
comes
to
to
advice.
her for
Yeah.
for advice.
He does a little bit. But in that way, I think we go from like me being his mom when it comes to like aise karo, aise karo, aise karo, but then when it comes to like actual advice, he's the giver of advice, which is strange.
Really?
Yeah, he
Is
is.
he more like the
He's much more sorted than me.
mature person?
Yes, more mature for sure also.
The younger ones usually are.
Yeah.
More
I'm just
mature.
academically brighter for whatever
Yeah.
that's worth.
You're smart. You said that 5 times already.
yeah.
You're smart.
Yeah, but he's really smart.
Okay.
I'm like, I'll give you the exact date of what happened, but he'll
You're
know like,
bookish smart.
put your phone off at this point, you know. That's what matters, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we started this on the note that a lot of who we see of you is the person on reels, and the person we see on screen is you're usually playing a character. And you obviously said that through movies you've discovered who you are as a person. I want to understand from a young actor's perspective, do you ever get a script where you read the woman's part and you're like, that's me, I get her like in one go. And that's very close to who deeply I am.
I think Atrangi was like that for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think there are a lot of aspects of Atrangi that Rinku's character that I fully understood. But then again, I think that it's very important to be versatile and not just play in your comfort zone. So while I understood Rinku's score, there was a lot more to play with. There was the Bihari dialect, there was, her entire geographical setting was different to mine. Her background was different to mine, but her core was similar to mine.
So for instance, you called up Anand Rai and said, hey, I'm getting this imposter syndrome and I may not even be working in Atrangi. Or we want to consider Alia. Actually, if you were to consider from the lot that's there and changes every decade, right? It would be, say, Janvi, there would be, say, Ananya Pandey, and there would be you. These are the 3 top female leads that we have. And Alia, of course, but Alia has been around for many, many years, although she's probably the same age bracket in some sense. What are the male equivalents to the 20s lead actors?
Ask the makers.
Who do you think are the 20s male leads in the same way that there is a Janvi, there is a Sara, and of course there is Ananya Pandey? Do you think of that, like in terms of who you would be paired opposite, who would be that age group?
No.
There are none, no? Don't you think? I mean, there are some, but not in the same way that you would have male leads in the 20s?
Maybe not.
Yeah. You haven't thought of any?
No.
Okay. Are you going to be like this dumbstruck with everything I ask now?
No, but
Okay.
it's a nice expression when you want to avoid.
Okay.
It helps. I've noticed because I don't have that privilege very often in my life.
Which
The
is what?
dumb is not something that people associate. So it's a new thing I'm trying. Huh?
हाँ.
क्या? मम्मी को फोन करूं?
Please, मम्मी को phone करो and ask her to come on my show.
नहीं आएंगी.
नहीं आएंगी?
But
Was
she's not even acting also. Huh.
पता नहीं. Are you going to carry on like this?
Sara, you have answered how Ibrahim asked you for an advice or not, but
Stop it, Sara.
No, sorry. Okay, just finding it difficult. Sorry.
but
Yeah.
what advice did you take from your, or did you take any advice from your mom or your dad before debuting with or deciding which movie will you debut with?
I honestly feel that as far as acting is concerned, it's a very personal journey. So it's very important that you are convinced. It's very important that it resonates with your soul. And I think that, the advantage of having both my parents as actors is that they allow for that individuality. If it doesn't connect यहाँ, तो फायदा नहीं है. वो लोग कुछ भी बोलें, तो अच्छा नहीं होगा.
But there used to be something called the Bollywood mom, and a generation before yours, actually 2 generations before yours. And the Bollywood mom used to control the dates, control the access. That never happened with you because she knows Bollywood way better than even Saif did before he
No,
joined
we
films.
have Bollywood moms. We pay them 10% of our income.
What do you mean?
It's called
The
management.
agency.
Yeah.
That you have to pay 5 crore to as well.
No,
or you
they
could
almost
have
had to pay that for me. But no, I think the times are different now.
Right.
Maybe. And especially because my mother's from the business, I think she really truly sees merit in me carving out my own path and kind of making my own decisions. Also, she doesn't want to be held responsible for some decisions that can go haywire, as we've discussed. And she's more than happy for me to, take the credit for the ones that don't. So I think it's a more personal journey than it probably was back in the day.
But would you use her,
For advice all
Yeah,
the time.
all the time, right?
Every second of every day. So that she's always going to be a sounding board. But it always ends with, but you do what your heart tells you.
I remember after Kedarnath, I had heard that Sharmila Tagore had lovely things to say about your performance. I want you to just recount that conversation for us, because I know that she was absolutely in love with how you played the character.
I can't even remember now because it's been a couple of years now. The only thing that's coming to my mind is when she talks about the goosebumps that she got when she watched my trailer of Everton. I'm not just trying to plug it in again. I'm genuinely telling you the truth that, my grandmother's, I think she likes me in these kind of characters.
She was arty-farty.
No.
I think what you mean is artsy, not arty-farty.
Okay, sorry.
No, but she also really liked me in Sara Ali
I am
Khan,
really, really
actually.
scared of Sharmila Tagore, I have
No,
to say.
she really enjoyed me in Sara Ali Khan too. So, no, she's always says nice things.
Has she watched this film?
No, not yet. She's watched the trailer, but she'll watch the film soon, hopefully.
I once wrote a review for a film, not even hers. I think it was Aparna Sen's Japanese wife. And she wrote a review of that review that we had to publish. It wasn't like a letter to the editor. It was like a full review.
My God.
And she blasted the shit out of me. And then I'm like saying, hey, then maybe I should get a chance to reply too. And my editor said, this cannot carry on. So it's over. Leave it at that. I'm like, not fair. So well, I just had to put this out. Yes.
So I just love the way you express that, what expressions you actually, get on your face when you are asked weird questions, which is the stupidest questions you have ever been asked.
A question that really irritates me is why did you study if you wanted to become an actor? I find it very offensive. I just find it really rude, actually. And I find it ridiculous because one's my profession and one makes me the person I am. And they can be related, but it's a dumb question. And maybe if they had studied, they wouldn't ask me that.
You know what, Sarah, you've been the youngest person on this series.
Oh, nice.
And everyone that we've discussed their life and career with has been 20 plus years minimum. But you have at least 20 to 30 years ahead of you. So we wish you all the best. And you've been a pleasure. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for being on Sit With Hitlist.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.